ago, before the first people, the world was ruled by dragons. It's true. They were not the savage and evil beasts we know all too well. This is the story of why that came to be. This is the tale of the Golden God. Once, all dragons were much like us in thought and deed. They were part of the world. In each dragon's heart there was a balance of goodness and evil, so each could live their life choosing one path or the other, just like you and just like me. Above all dragons was not one great lord, but two. They were twins, you see. But while one had scales of brilliant golden hue that shone like the sun in a heart full of joy and kindness, the other was as dark and full of shadow as the world below and the endless night above. This one was a trickster, and loved nothing more than to tease the other, always trying to prove that one was better than the other. The Golden One enjoyed these games. It saw the Dark Twins' competitions as opportunities to challenge limitations and become better for the test. It never really thought that the Dark Twin truly wished harm. One day, while testing their magic, the Dark Twin thought of a clever trick. Using its power to control other creatures, it gathered them in secret and boldly said to the Golden Twin that none could match this magic, and with that, the Dark Twin cast a great illusion, and to the Golden Twin's eyes appeared to transform not into any one thing, but into a whole host of different animals all at once.
Impossible. How can this be? You've bested me for sure this time,
the Golden Twin cried. But what one could do, surely the other could too, as they were both two sides to one coin, you see. So, hatching a plan, the Golden Twin thought very hard, and then gathered all the first words, all the first stories, all the first fears, and all the first hopes, all the old names and the first runes. It woke the first great stones and the oldest of trees, and asked them their secrets. And when sun and moon and stars were all gathered to watch it, it cast a great spell. The Dark Twin watched on, not believing for a moment what was about to happen, but trying so hard not to laugh at the Golden Twin and spoil the very best trick ever played on one twin by another. And all at once, the Golden Twin transformed not into all sorts of different animals, as this was and is and shall always be quite impossible. Instead, the Golden Twin's eyes turned to rubies, its mind to diamonds, its scales and skin and limbs to golden coins and all manner of other precious things. Where once stood the Golden Dragon, now rested a mighty hoard of treasure. But quick as a knife in the back, the Dark Twin leapt on the treasure and gathered it all, then took it to every corner of the world, dropping some here, some there, and a little more everywhere else. Surely there was no way the Golden One could end the spell and come back as one dragon now, and sadly, the Dark Twin was right. And as the Dark Dragon scattered the great treasure all over, each and every other dragon in the world felt a great and terrible loss, as though all the joy, light, hope, and beauty had suddenly left their heart, and all they desired was for it to return. Each of them could feel some of this in the piles of treasure they happened to find, so they became obsessed with gathering what hidden treasure they could find. Nothing would stand in their way, not even each other, and so all the dragons became what we know of them today. They are mean and nasty beasts. They become monsters that crave nothing but treasure, and each gathers as much to itself as it can defend from others. Either they don't know what the treasure truly is, or they just don't care for anything other than satisfying some measure of their sick and endless greed. And what of the Dark Twin? Did it really plan it this way? Who can say? For it has remained that way until this very day. Welcome back to the Derailed Fantasy Adventures. The next series of video adventures are united by the theme of the quest for the Golden God. Here's how it works, and a little expansion on how the Derailed Fantasy thing is expanding. The treasure that the Golden Dragon turned into is very real. It's distributed so widely that it's rare to encounter more than a single gem or coin of it anywhere. Each of the golden coins has a slightly different design, but they're all very ancient and all have the dragon head etched or embossed on them. Each of the coins also has two magical properties. First, they tend to always find their way back into the hands of adventurers, who may spend one in some town only to have a shopkeeper hand them the same coin in a totally different town many miles away. Even melting a coin down will eventually see it reform from some other gold coin, exactly like it looked originally. For this reason, a common nickname for the dragon coins are the Golden Retrievers. Second, when flipped onto their edge and rolled, they always tend to roll towards the nearest coin or gem that is also part of the original treasure of the Golden God. More shall be revealed about the other properties of the treasure in upcoming adventures. Having a coin or gem that can be used to track down treasure is very handy for creating many adventure locations. The adventures are designed without any game mechanics, no set rules, no specific fantasy tabletop role-playing game in mind. If anything, the world setting that is developing is closer to the Misty Vale from Dragonbane than it is to traditional Dungeons & Dragons. When examined closer, you'll see that what seems familiar is not what you might expect. There are less defined types of creatures, no detailed cosmology. The world is a bit less developed. Civilization is a bit less stable, and monsters are a lot more outlandish. Taking inspiration from traditional folklore and fantasy horror, it is much more likely that a monster is a unique creature, not a breed or species with concerns about ecological sustainability. Those creatures in the wild who represent a population have a hell of a lot more variety, since I have no concerns about making some trademarked set image of what the copyrighted name of some creature should be. I don't give a damn what some corporation thinks a Medusa should look like. I care what the ancient Greeks did. I don't give a damn if some monster has a lair full of baby skulls. It's a monster. It eats babies. If you find that bothersome, then roll up a character with whatever game book you prefer and go kill the monster. If you can. The quest for the Golden God is taking place in a new, wide area of whatever fantasy world is called. I don't know what that is. At this point, I'm open to suggestions. We now have a home base for human civilizations called the City of Gacklagant, the Jewel of the Midlands. Not too far from Misty Vale, actually. Perhaps there are some Wolfkin and Mallard people around. You can find a few dwarves, elves and hobbits wandering around. They have their own settlements and the sorts of places they prefer, but don't tend to live right among the humans all the time because humans are loud, aggressive, ambitious troublemakers who can and do turn on you, break oaths and swindle, pollute and sometimes enslave anyone they can dominate. Sure, they can be wonderful, generous, noble and charming kin, but other kin don't stick their noses in human affairs any more than they like humans sticking their noses in theirs. Merchants, artisans, entertainers and explorers do frequent human lands though. Adventurers travel with those that are generally looking for the same sort of lifestyle they are. So you do see groups of different mixes of kin far more often delving into ruins, lairs and other dangerous places. It's just an accepted fact. However, up until just recently, it's never been formally recognised as a social institution by the King of Gacklagant. The very start of the adventures, and that is where we have our first installment of the story begin, is with an audience before the king in his grand castle in the great walled city of Gacklagant. After talking with the player characters, the royal decree has been made and it's expected that well-known fortune seekers should form their own guild to manage their activities better and provide some stability to those they rely on in Gacklagant to keep them well-financed, healthy, informed and best equipped, including some sort of training and certification for those seeking to take up the profession. A little bit of much needed bureaucracy and paperwork, and most importantly, from the king's point of view, some more taxes and some means of keeping an eye on their activities. We will be exploring lots of different locations in the adventure-packed Midlands, sometimes leading directly one to the other times with more of an old-school hex crawl feel, but Those who love the lore in my videos will have a lot to sink your teeth into. Those who just love to sit and listen to a nice narrative story will enjoy the rich landscapes and environments and the cast of hundreds of unique creatures, characters, and situations along the way. Those of you who run games will have maps, new monsters, powerful new print products that you can use to enrich all of your fantasy games. I'm not going to hold back. This is the full power of my creativity and imagination at your service. We are not in the predictable confines of Dungeons & Dragons beginner zone anymore. We have removed the training wheels. We have removed the safety rails. We are on a derailed fantasy adventure. Stay tuned. I'm only getting started. Talking of hex crawls, my Kickstarter for the Big Pockets silicone battle mats is halfway through the funding period and halfway funded. So be sure to get your orders in for the best tabletop battle mats you will ever spend under $40 on. Free delivery anywhere in the world. The silicone rubber mats are standard A1 paper sheet size, so nice and big. They are thin enough to fold and roll up nice and compact and unfurl to lay flat every time. The silicone rubber is extremely durable and can easily handle any kind of wet or dry erase marker pen. They can also handle most types of glue, hot glue, epoxy, all kinds of paints, 3D printer resin. Oh, and you can cook a pizza on the non-stick mat in the oven. They are super tough because we live in 2023, man. Why are we still making shitty plastic and vinyl mats when we can make silicone mats that do it better and last damn near forever? In future, maybe, kids will be comparing these battle mats and saying, wow, they don't build them like they used to. But I can only do this with your help. Spread the word. I'm even throwing in a free combat tracker with every order. Oh, and let your friendly local game store know I have discounted retail packages available and am very open to large custom orders. My name is AJ Pickett. Thank you for listening. As always, I'll be back with more fantasy lore and role-playing goodness for you very soon.